Hello viewers, welcome to lesson number 3 where we are going to look at fractions definition. So I'm going to give you definitions of terms that you're going to use when you're looking at fractions. To look at is the name fraction itself. So we're going to define what a fraction is in simple term or as per O level. So when you're talking of a fraction, we're talking of a number that can be expressed in the form a over b. Right, so later on you're going to see, or we're going to define or talk about what is a and what is b. So this is a fraction. So now under a fraction now we have a numerator. So a numerator, in simple terms we can say, remember we said a fraction is a number that can be displayed in the form of a over b. So any number that is on the top is the number that you refer to as a numerator. Same applies to the denominator. If you look at our fraction a over b, the number below or the number at the bottom is the number that we refer to as a denominator. Now the other term that we are going to look at is what is known as a common multiple. So a common multiple is any number that is completely divisible by the denominators. So remember, let's say we have our fractions x over y, a over b, right. So when you're looking at common multiples, you're looking at numbers that are divisible by these denominators. So that is what they refer to as a common multiple. The next definition that we're going to look at is of a mixed fraction. So a mixed fraction is any number that can be expressed in the form, let's say, xa over b, where x is a whole number and a is a numerator and b is the denominator. So this is what we call a mixed fraction. Now an improper fraction is obtained when the numerator now is bigger than the denominator. Right. So examples are like when you have 3 over 2. Let's see here. 3 is bigger than 2, so we call this one an improper fraction. Now let's look at a proper fraction. A proper fraction is actually the opposite of an improper fraction. So a proper fraction, this is where the numerator is smaller than the denominator. Now let's look at one of the most useful words that are used in dealing with fractions. So remember, either writing Cambridge or SA Matrix or ZIMSEC, this is where your answers are mostly required to be left in the form of, right? So the simplest form now, let's try to define what the simplest form is. So when we say leave your answer in the simplest form, they're saying now the simplest form is where the numerator is no longer divisible by the denominator, right? and also 1 is only the number that can divide the numerator and the denominator. Now, so we're saying where the numerator is no longer divisible by the denominator, so we can have a case where let's say 9 over 4. Now we're saying 4 goes into 9 how many times? Goes into 9 two times. Remember what? 1 over 4. And now let's look at 1 and 4. Do we have any number that can divide 1 and 4 besides 1? No. So we can say this number is now in the simplest form. So these are the definitions of terms that we are going to deal with under fractions. So please don't forget to subscribe and wait for the next lesson.